Hi, it's Manar. I'm a hypnotherapist, and I want to talk with you about the idea that hypnosis is kind of like magic and how a hypnotist kind of controls you to do something because it's bullshit. Let's just put it out there. It's bullshit. No one controls nobody. Nobody makes nobody do no nothing. Okay. It's all bullshit. There are two types of people who visit a hypnotherapist or a hypnotist. A person who's like, oh, I want a miracle. This is going to change my life. Make me whatever, make me rich or make me whatever. And the second type is the type that says, I have tried everything to fix that issue or achieve that goal and nothing has worked and I'm desperate and I'm now like, yeah, might as well just try a hypnotist to make me whatever, to do some spell on me or whatever, you know. And they usually say something like, I'm logical and I don't believe in these kind of things, right? Well, actually, both of these types of people have something in common. They actually have the same perception about hypnosis. The truth is, I'm reading from my notes. That's not the truth that I wanted to say. Truth is, both are kind of wrong. The first one is actually even more dangerous. The first type of client who visits a hypnotherapist or a hypnotist because they believe it's some kind of magic and it's going to change their life, it's actually more dangerous than the second one. The first type are the people who come and say, make me something, make me rich, make me win the next match, make me pregnant, make me whatever, you know, just make me stop smoking, just, you know, like make me something. And while hypnosis can help you achieve goals, I have actually helped people achieve goals, but you gotta put in the work, you know. I helped a client. I didn't make him rich, but I helped him get rid of limiting beliefs or negative thoughts he had about money. How some people have thoughts like money's evil, money's is dirty, whatever. Some people have receiving blockage. I had that actually. I had a block when it came to receiving, and it was receiving in general, and money was one of the things that I blocked by having this energy of like, I don't want to receive no anything, you know. So that client, I helped him with his money mindset, and then we had a session about you know, what kind of skills he needed to learn to achieve that specific goal when it came to his business, what kind of things he needed to invest in, how he would manage like a 9 to 5 and also achieving his personal goal when it came to having a business. Having skills like patience, having skills like getting the right amount of sleep so he could reserve his energy, you know, and maybe invest in courses or things like that. So he had to put in the work, you know. I also worked with MMA fighters. Yeah, I helped them win the next match. Like all the MMA fighters that worked with me won the next matches. One of them, they all won from the first round, and one of them won in like a few seconds, right? So it does help achieve goals. But with these MMA fighters, we worked on the right mindset and when it came to specific techniques that they wanted to learn, like one of them was called something like Dorset choke or something like that. So we worked on technical things, one of them needed to have better sleep, so we worked on his sleep, and he had to listen to a hypnosis recording that I made. He had to put in the work. It's not like now your sleep is better. I wish it was like abracadabra. I'm reaching in my back bra. Here is your sleep. You're good. I wish. But it's not like that. Honestly, if it was like that, you think I'd be doing this? Like making videos and marketing myself and whatever? I'd just snap my finger, give me your money, sweetheart, But it's not like that. It's not. That's why a lot of hypnotherapists and hypnotists aren't that rich. That's why we don't walk around hypnotizing each other. It's just, it's not that snap of a finger. When somebody tells you like, I'm going to change your life, I'm going to make you do this, I'm going to make you do that, you know what finger to show them, right? So I also want to talk about why it's dangerous to have that mindset of, I'm going to go to this hypnotherapist and I'm going to have them change my life. It's dangerous for many reasons. One, it creates dependency. I personally, if a client keeps coming back to me each time they want to achieve something, I'm going to be like, haven't I taught you enough? Like when a client comes to me, we work on their sense of content, having contentment, their sense of problem solving, their sense of regulating their nervous system. We work on specific skills that everybody needs, right? We work on having compassion for themselves. We work on the main thing I love is that I really, really try to have people look at themselves as a character of a story, like look at themselves from the outside objectively, and that helps them see things in a better way, in better perspective, and see things that maybe they never saw before, So these are skills that I try to help my clients gain. So if I worked with someone and I worked my ass off teaching them those skills, and then every time they come to me, that means there's some kind of dependency on me, and I don't want that. It feels better, like from the receiving end, if I'm the client, as a person, I like to be independent. I don't want to, rely on anybody or depend on anybody and have like my life in their hands. It's not a good feeling, right? And when I'm the therapist, like when on the receiving end of it, like someone dependent on me, it's a huge responsibility. It's exhausting, So it's not professional and it's not healthy for none of us, not the therapist, not the client, right? So when you learn these techniques, you're not going to need anybody, right? I personally believe that people don't need therapists. People don't need anybody to make them do anything. You just need, I always say that I try to live by my name. My name is Manar. Manar is an Arabic word for lighthouse. And that's what I try to do. I try to just like, show you the light, show you the way, right? And you crack your way. Everything that you need to know is right here. I just try to show you, and that's it. So dependency is something that is one of the side effects from having this mentality of I'm gonna go to this hypnotist and they're gonna change my life. They're gonna snap their finger and they're gonna make me quit smoking. Another danger is that it's danger, and it's also the reason to that behavior is that you put your therapist or hypnotherapist on a pedestal, you think of them as a god, like they're gonna, like a genie in a bottle, as Christina Aguilera, I think. Was it Christina or was it Britney's? No, Christina. I think Christina Aguilera. Anyway, they're not a genie in a bottle, that when you put them on a pedestal, you're always gonna go to them, and in return, your self-esteem is gonna be a bit low. Whenever you have a problem, you think of them. Circle back to dependency, but mainly you're setting up yourself for disappointment, because it really, really, really doesn't work like that. I'll give you an example. Let's say that you're someone who is living in a one-bedroom apartment, and your fridge doesn't work. It smells like shit because it hasn't been working for months or weeks, and haven't paid your rent, and you have a cat or a dog and they're super skinny because you haven't been feeding them, because you don't even have the money to feed yourself, right? And then you'll be like, oh, I'm gonna go to this hypnotherapist, and you know what? I'm gonna ask them to make me a millionaire. I'm gonna ask them to, make me rich. I'm gonna and they're just gonna make me say some affirmations. I'm just gonna say this: I'm a millionaire every morning and every evening, right? And then in a matter of like a week or a month, I'm gonna be a millionaire. Not in a year, sweetheart. Okay? If you come from that background, can even pay your rent, right? To I want to be a millionaire so freaking bad. It's not going to happen like that. Not unless you want to do it illegally, which sucks. And or maybe you win the lottery, right? But with the wrong mindset, with the wrong money mindset, that money's going to poof disappear. A lot of people who won the lottery actually lose their money, and some of them actually get into debt after winning the lottery, because they just don't have the right money mindset. You need a lot of work, and I'm not saying that, I feel like I'm saying that hypnotherapy doesn't work. It does. I just told you, I help those MMA fighters win. And you'll see some testimonials on my website. But they put in the work, okay? It's not magic. Again, all of what I'm saying is the danger of that person who goes to a therapist or hypnotherapist, make me rich while I sit, cross my legs, and look at those trees. And I'm not gonna do nothing, and they're gonna make me rich, which was just some affirmations. Eye roll. Another eye roll. The third danger, or the third side effect, or whatever you want to call it, is having impatience. When you put your hypnotist on a pedestal and you're very depending on them, they're gonna, right? And I paid all of that money, whatever money your hypnotist would charge you. You're gonna be like, well, I want results now, right? You're gonna have this type of impatience. Because for you, if you have that mindset of this is magic and they're going to change my life, then that's the mindset. It's they're gonna, it's like going in a restaurant, ordering food, and you're obviously going to expect the food, right? Duh. So if you have that mindset, I'm going to go to someone to make me rich, you're expecting to get rich. I paid you money, give me the results. Duh, right? But again, it never works like that. Here's how it works. Because I feel like I talked a lot about how it doesn't work. When someone says, for example, make me pregnant, right? First of all, I'm gonna see what their gyno says if it's a lady, right? Let's say it's a lady. What does your gyno say? Right? And let's say the gyno says a problem with her uterus. We know that there are a lot of physical illnesses are caused by mental health problem. Usually, it's also called like somatic symptoms. So I worked with clients on health problems. Things like alopecia, things like liver viruses, diabetes, things like that. And when I worked with them, it's like going back and see what made that disease come. And in all of the cases, their minds thought that it was a good idea to get this disease because it was serving some kind of a purpose. Getting attention, maybe. Punishing them, maybe. A client who did something really bad in their point of view, and they felt super guilty about it, and they were like, oh, I'm such a bad person, I deserve to be punished. So their mind came up with diseases. So sometimes when we work on things like these, we find the real cause, and then with their permission and their consent and their well-being, they reject that disease, and they then need to work with their doctor, okay, with that mindset of, I'm healing, I don't want that disease anymore. And a lot of the times it works. I don't want to say always, I don't want to talk in absolutes, but a lot of the times it works. So listen, once you understand the reason for something, it's so easy to fix. As I said before, I like for people to look at themselves as a character of a story. I did that for myself, and it helped me because I came from storytelling background. I used to be a ghostwriter for a very long time. And that's what I try to do with clients. Even when you watch a movie, there's always a cause and effect. Let's talk about movies for like 5 minutes or maybe 1 minute. So, cliche example, Titanic. We've all watched Titanic, right? So, when Jack saw Rose and she was like jumping, that was a turning point. In storytelling, we call that unfamiliar situation. Jack saw this fancy lady who's very different from him, unfamiliar to what he knows, right? In jumping. She, Rose, saw Jack, unfamiliar because not the same societal, what is the word that I'm looking for? That's the word I'm looking for. You know what I mean. Anyway, she's rich, he's poor. I don't know, the word is out of my mind now. Anyway, different. He's different from her, right? And he's different from her fiance. Her fiance is familiar to her, but he's unfamiliar. And he's caring for her more than her fiance cared for her. Her fiance cared about his status, right? That's the word I was looking for. They're not the same status. They're not the same financial and societal status, right? So her fiance cared about his image, his status, his reputation, and all of that stuff more than he cared about her. Jack, on the other hand, very unfamiliar feeling to her, right? And that situation created a turning point and all of that. So her fiance were a cause for her to get attracted to what Jack showed her. See what I'm saying? And all of that, this whole scene, she jumping, he looking, please don't, I'll jump with you, da da da, right? All of that scene is a cause for them getting into a relationship. When we look at her background was the cause of her cheating with Jack. We never looked at it this way before, by the way. We never looked at it as in like she was cheating on her fiance, but she was scared. She never spoke up. Whenever she spoke up, everyone was looking at her as a child. She was like 18 or something in the movie, right? So when you look at movies, because Rose is the protagonist, Rose is the hero of the story, we're looking at them with empathy. Heck, the Joker, we were looking at the Joker with empathy in what's his name, Joaquin Phoenix, if I said his name right? So if we're looking at somebody like the Joker, with a bit empathy, what about you? When you look at yourself as a character of a story, right? You gain a lot of empathy for yourself. You see a lot of things that you never saw before. And you see the cause and effect, that chain of cause and effect, and each effect is the cause for the next, and so on and on and on and on. So when you see all of that, you see how your mind works, when you see how your circumstances, your background affected you, and why you behave in certain ways, and all of that, it becomes very fascinating and very easy to, I wouldn't say easy, but like doable to create better causes and effects, better life. And that's how I personally do it. Which is why the second type of clients, the clients that are skeptical and like they ask a lot of questions and so on, are actually my favorite type of clients. I am that client. I'm not going to take your word for it. I love the client who just doesn't take my word for it, does the work and asks questions and is not putting me on a pedestal and giving me a whole responsibility of their life. No. That's not professional, and it's very unhealthy. Hypnotherapy, what happens in hypnotherapy is that your critical mind is off. That's the main thing, right? Hypnotherapy, when you're hypnotized, you're just in a relaxed state. You actually hypnotize yourself every day. When you're driving home and you're really not thinking of the next turn that you're taking, you're just taking it because you know the way home. You're doing it out of your subconscious. You're doing it while you're relaxed. That's a hypnotic state. When you're washing the dishes and you're maybe replaying an old conversation in your mind, but you're washing the dishes, right? Your hands are moving and all of that stuff. And once the conversation in your head is over, you look, I finished all the dishes. When did that happen? Well, you were operating from your subconscious. That's a hypnotic state. When you get a massage and you're very relaxed, that's a hypnotic state. When you're hypnotized, the main thing that hypnotherapists, want to get you in is the state where you're very relaxed and your critical mind, the critical factor is just shut off. You're talking from your subconscious because your mind knows everything. Believe me. I had clients who remember things. So what happens is that I ask a specific question that I feel or I think or I see that is very important for that session or the issue or goal or whatever, right? And under hypnosis, your mind answers. I ain't answering no questions for you. You ain't answering no questions. Your mind is, all right? And sometimes your mind remembers things when you were like 2 years old. Sometimes I actually remember things when I was 2 years old, when I was a client. I had a client who remembered things when they were 3 months old. I had another client who remembered her birth. I had a client who remembered things when they were 7 years old. I had clients who remember things that happened last week. It doesn't matter, okay? What happens in a session is that critical mind is shut off, and sometimes your mind remembers things that are necessary, and your mind will tell you what you need to know. Your mind will tell you what you need to do to get specific goals done or get rid of specific issues. You're literally just working with your mind, and that's it. That's the main thing. So it's not magic. It's not. It's just not. If you want to say it's magic, then the hypnotist is not the magician. The magic and the magician is right here, your own mind. That's it. The hypnotist is just like, as I said, holding a torch or like lighting the way for you to see, and that's it. The magic is in you.